Cheryl Richardson, and I'm here for our weekly Facebook Live coaching session on this beautiful day here in the Northeast. It's gorgeous, and I just spent the last, 3 hours working out in the garden, which is why I look a little disheveled, but it was so much fun. I'm getting the deck garden ready, and it's my favorite time of year. Hey, Poopy, want to come say hi? Can you come say hi? It's always my favorite time of year to, hi James, to get the deck garden planned, and to, I have this wonderful woman named Roberta Horsman. I'm going to put her name in the post after this session. She's an herbalist and like a master plant lover and gardener, and every year I have Roberta come, and she's been teaching me year after year about plants and growing plants and what's native to the area, and how to put things together. And I've learned a lot from her, and I love every year, going out and seeing, just learning about the different types of plants that are coming out, and how to make things grow, and how to deal with mistakes, and how to move things around. And it's like a big art project on the deck. And you know what I'm going to do? Once everything gets planted, so I plant flowers and food, and once everything gets planted and it starts to look a little lush, right now it's a bit sparse, but once it starts to look a little lush, I'll take you on a tour of my deck garden one of these weeks before we start doing the coaching. How's that? It'll be fun. So, all right, let me just say hi to a few people and then we'll get started. If you have a question, you can get it ready. Hi to James and Teresa. You guys are always here. David from Luxembourg. Hi, David. And Anya and Andrea. Anna. Hi, Anna. And Natalie and Jessica. Hi, Jessica. And Kaka. Is that right? Casa or Kaka. Susie and Michelle and Linnell. Hi, Cindy. And Kaduz. Is this Moroccan? Does this look Moroccan? Kaduz from Morocco. Carmen, David, Teresa, yes. Bolette. Hey, Cheryl, my namesake. Anyway, hi to everybody. I'm so glad you're here. I always appreciate that you join me. And this is an opportunity for me to just support you in any way I can. Hey, Carly from Perth, Australia. And Joanne from Toronto. I always say some of my favorite places, because so many of the places I go to, I have such a great time teaching and meeting people that they end up just feeling like great places. I've been to Toronto a lot, and I love Toronto. It's a very quick flight from here. Australia, on the other hand, is a very long flight. But boys, I wish it were closer, because if it were closer, I'd be there 2 or 3 times a year. I love the people there, are just great. And hi, Kimberly, thank you. You started me on my path many years ago when I first heard you speak about the art of extreme self-care. Oh, I'm glad you're still with me. Thank you. And hi, Alice from Prince Edward Island. I've not been there yet, but I really want to get there. I think I can drive all the way up there. And Mare from Cape Cod. Hey, from Cape Cod. So during this session, you have a chance to post questions that you'd like me to answer or to support you with in some way. It's always a little tricky, of course, because I don't know the specifics. So it's kind of a combination of trying to keep it brief and yet giving me enough detail that I'm able to really help you. And if you haven't, so you can start to post your questions, and I'll begin looking for them in just a little bit. Let's see. So I'll go back through. And in the meantime, I don't know if you read my, let me see, do I have it here? I don't know if you read my blog this week about the magic mala. I am going to do a Facebook Live separate video on that. I'll probably do it towards the end of this week. It's based on Bob Olson's book, The Magic Mala, which is, it's a novel. It's a great story. And what's great also about it is it's a teaching story. You learn about the power of manifestation and intention, and focusing on the things, sort of retraining the brain to focus on the things that we want to experience more of in our lives. And it's told through this very simple and wise story about a couple who are down in their luck and end up turning their lives around. So, yeah, if you're not seeing the video, April, chances are it's something to do with your computer. Every now and then that will happen. If you're seeing the video, just give us a thumbs up or hearts. Just press one of those so we'll know. And sometimes people will say that they're not able to see the video, and it's usually related somehow. It could be a couple of things, by the way. It could be that you haven't updated your Facebook app. I've found that every week now, before I do a Facebook Live, I go right to the app. Thank you for all the hearts and thumbs up. So a lot of people are seeing this. I go right to the app store, and I update the Facebook app before I do a live, and there's always an update there. And I find that if you update the app, April, you might want to try it, although you're not hearing me either. You might want to just, log out, update the app, and then log back in. I find that that's made a big difference in terms of even my connections. So you might want to do that. Anyway, The Magic Mala is a great book, and it will inspire you to get yourself a set. Can she reach? Yes. Here's, I always talk about mala beads, and I finally have them with me this week. This is blue lapis. This was made by a wonderful woman locally. Jane is her name, and I wish she had a website, because if she did, I would give it to you, but she doesn't. She just, these take a while to string, but can you see the beautiful little angel that she put on these with little beads? There we go. Look at that. Isn't that great? Blue lapis lazuli beads, gorgeous beads. And these are the ones, sometimes I take a walk with these, and I just go, there's 108 beads, and I just go one by one, and I name something I'm grateful for. And it could even just be, I'm grateful for the red cardinal I just saw. I'm grateful for all the green that's starting to sprout around here. I'm grateful for the fact that the animals now have so much more to eat. I'm grateful for everybody in this neighborhood that doesn't put chemicals on their lawn. Like, I just, I'm grateful for the trees that come back every year. I'm grateful for, the plants that made it through the winter. I'm grateful for this natural smelling, beautiful smelling flower, even when I don't know what it is. Or I'm grateful for that driver who just slowed down going by me. It's just about cultivating a state of gratitude. Now, I know it sounds kind of, sweet and maybe airy-fairy to some people, although more and more people are getting on board. But here's the thing. When we start to focus our mind on the things we feel grateful for, we're creating new neural pathways in the brain, and the old pathways that no longer serve us start to weaken. So, our brain, the plasticity of the brain means that we don't have to lose brain function as we get older. We can gain brain function every stage of life. We can rewrite old neural programming by having these kinds of practices that keep us focused on the things that are important to us that we'd like more of in our lives. And gratitude is a great way to do that. Every night, I always say on Instagram and Twitter, I post 5 things I'm grateful for. I've been doing that now for a couple of years. And then I invite other people to post, and I love how I get to read what other people are grateful for, and it automatically makes me think about the things that I'm grateful, the additional things I'm grateful for. And guess what's happening? The whole time you're thinking about these things, you're creating new grooves in the brain. And those grooves create a healthy brain. They create new neural connections. The brain grows stronger, more resilient. We start to draw to us better experiences, more abundance, all of these sorts of things. So that's why I practice, and that's why I love the Magic Mala, because you can get it on Amazon. Get yourself a set of mala beads. You're going to want to, by the time you finish reading the book, you're totally going to want to do that when you see what happens to this couple. And by the way, it's kind of based on a true story, although Bob doesn't say that. I learned the gratitude practice from Bob, as a matter of fact. So anyway, mala beads. Okay, where are we here? Time for questions. Yes. All right, let me take a sip of my green smoothie, which is almost done. It's a mint one with avocado and all kinds of good stuff. So I'm going to scroll back here, and I'm going to start looking at going through some of your questions and seeing what I can answer that will support all of you, as many of you as possible. Okay. Let's see. Hi, Donna. I'm so glad you're here. Donna, I have to call you, and I'm going to try and call you this afternoon, actually. And James, you have a deck garden? First time this year, James. Awesome. Send me a picture. I'd love to see. Like, let it get going, and then show me what you got. That's great. I grow spinach. This year I'm growing spinach, tomatoes, arugula, Swiss chard, all kinds of good stuff. Okay. Here we go. So Basic Instinct says, hey Cheryl, how to deal with people who don't accept that I'm different than others? Don't deal with them. I mean, I know that sounds really simplistic, but it's really about you getting comfortable with who you are. Like, for example, I'm really sensitive. It's why I'm really good at what I do. And I embrace and honor and respect my sensitivity. It's why I love nature, why I love animals, like Mr. Poupon, who's laying right here. It's why I care about people, and so regardless of who you are and how you are, I had to grow comfortable with my sensitivity. I had to become comfortable with the fact that I was different than a lot of other people. I don't like bright lights and big crowds and lots of noise. I don't like going into a restaurant to have dinner with loud music. Like, to me, that's kind of like an oxymoron. I don't get it. So I very graciously will ask people to turn music down, turn the music down in a restaurant. And oftentimes they do. It's great. They're awesome. They're very accommodating. So, my inner circle of people who are close to me are also very sensitive, and they respect the fact that I'm sensitive and that I have different, I might have different needs than other people, and that's great. I mean, and then I deal with people in my sort of professional world. I mean, a lot of the people I attract to me in my work are also sensitive or longing to be more sensitive, to embrace their sensitivity. And that's great. It's just because we really attract what we are and what we embrace. So if you have a lot of people around you who don't accept who you are, don't embrace who you are, then you have to really look at who you're hanging out with and why. Now remember, there is this thing called repetition compulsion that Freud wrote about this and spoke about this desire that we have, this natural instinct to go back to the people, or the people who were like the people who raised us, who didn't see us or accept us or get us. And so we tend to, repetition compulsion, we keep going back to try and get the very people who don't get who we are to get us, when instead we want to spend more of our energy and time focused with the people who do get us and do respect us and do appreciate us. And of course, we need to be cultivating that same kind of generosity with others. So it's why before I got married, I dated so many men who just who weren't present for me in the way that I needed someone to be present. Do you hear my birds out there? Guys, be quiet. I'm on Facebook right now. I'll get back to you. Wait a minute. They're eating away. It's why I dated men who didn't get me. They're not listening. And I was always trying to get them to see me or to understand me or to, it was ridiculous. I just spent so much time. I didn't really waste, because the truth is that I learned a lot. And I am where I am today because of all of the crap that I went through in the past, really. There was a lot of guys early on that I was in relationships with that inspired me to go into therapy, and for that I'm deeply grateful. So pay attention to, ask yourself questions like, why am I hanging out with people who don't really appreciate and respect me? What am I trying to prove? What don't I appreciate and respect about myself? What do I need in order to value who I am and what I stand for and what matters to me and what I care about more in my life? And what do I need in order to feel worthy of surrounding myself with people who accept that I'm different, regardless of how you're different, by the way. I mean, as somebody who's been coaching for almost 25 years, I've seen it all. And and I've embraced it all and accepted it all. And that's really, I think we all need to learn to do that more, certainly. So anyway, I hope that's helpful to you. Thank you, Chris. Okay, so Linnell says, let's see. First of all, let me clean my glasses because they're dirty from working in the garden, although I don't use them as much in the garden, but every now and then when I have to read a label. Okay, there we go. Linnell says, my wonderful husband and grown sons are running too fast in the rat race of business, making money, etc. How can I help them to slow down and become more conscious? I've followed you for years and get it. They don't. What advice can you offer? Well, Linnell, it won't happen by you bugging them. I promise you that doesn't work. And if Michael, my husband, were here, he'd say, listen to her. She's right. It won't happen if you nag them. First of all, it's like I always say, even to like parents, you want to model the behavior that you want to inspire in those close to you and to family members. So it's really important that you're focused on yourself, Linnell, slowing down and being more present in your own life. I think I've modeled so many things to my husband, Michael, that he's adopted over the years, and he has modeled an awful lot to me, like slowing down and being more present, that I've adopted and am still working to adopt. So if it's affecting you in some way, for example, if you're not getting the time with them that you want, or you're not getting the the kind of attention. Oh, I just went black. Did anybody notice that? There we go. If you feel like you're not getting the connection that you want, then you may need to sit down and talk to them about it. And, are they enjoying what they do? Like, are they like really stressed out and unhappy and just trying to make money? Or are they loving what they do? In which case, are they modeling something for you? Does it mean that you need to spend some time looking at doing more of what you love? I mean, the bottom line, Linnell, is we can't get anybody to do anything. And if we bug them, that just pushes them away. It just makes it more difficult. So you could have a conversation with them, but the most important thing, I think, is for you to model the behavior and let them know you're doing that. There's nothing wrong with that. So, sorry, I can't offer more than that. So Pamela says, what's the best way to let go of control of situations? Like, that's the $1 million question, right? The Art of Surrender. I write about that in The Unmistakable Touch of Grace. It's a book I wrote a few books back. It's sort of like a spiritual memoir. It might be a good book for you to check out, Pamela, because I talk about surrender and the importance of surrendering and the experience I had in my own life with surrendering. I would pick up a set of prayer beads, and one of the things I do is when I become over-focused on something because I'm scared, and usually that's what happens. Control is usually about anxiety and fear. Sometimes I'll do some tapping. I'll do the tapping sequences on the anxiety I feel about not being able to control something. And sometimes I'll just take the mala and I'll just repeat a simple prayer. So Pamela, you could get yourself, if you have rosary beads, any kind of beads, and I might just say something like, I surrender and I feel safe. I surrender and I feel safe. I surrender and I feel safe. Or, just something, it's safe for me to let go. It's safe for me to let go. Or I trust in the power of the universe. I trust in the Divine Mother to protect me. Thank you for your protection, Divine Mother. Thank you for your protection, Divine Father. Like, whatever is appropriate for you. I'll sometimes use the prayer beads as a way to refocus my mind. Worry and anxiety and trying to control situations is often a habit. And it's just a habit that needs to be changed. And rather than break a habit, as Louise always says, you never want to break a habit because you just leave shards of it all around. Instead, what I want to do is I want to dissolve a habit. And I think that kind of focused prayer is a way to dissolve habit. Sometimes we need to ask for help. Sometimes we need to talk to a friend. Sometimes we need to do some work in therapy, depending on how chronic it is, how often it's happening and how much it feels like it's affecting your life. You might want to get some support. But think of it as a spiritual practice. So it's not just about the thing that you're worried about controlling right now. It's teaching yourself to believe, this is the important thing. It's teaching yourself to believe in the goodness of the universe and that life loves you and that there is, and boy, I know this is hard, people, given the stuff that's going on in the world. And, let me just say, I didn't say it right up front, but, the people in Manchester at the Ariana Grande concert, just really praying, I just imagine sending white light to that part of the world, surrounding them. Sometimes I imagine them at the foot of the Divine Mother, the beautiful Mother Mary statue, the miraculous Mary with the hands extended. I imagine her just above that whole area, and I imagine putting the city of Manchester at her feet, surrounded by her. And you can also do this yourself, Pamela. As we get older, not even as we get older, I think we just need to cultivate a belief in the goodness that exists in the universe. And I know it's not always easy. It's not always easy for me. But as we cultivate it, it does get easier. And then life starts to demonstrate for us that we are, in fact, that we have what it takes to handle what comes our way. I'm not talking about creating nirvana, people. I mean, that's just, it's just not going to happen. It's been a hard year for me, and it continues to be challenging in some ways. And you know what? I just keep breathing and praying and doing my mala and reaching out and getting support and trusting that there is an inherent goodness in the world and that I can tap into it, and I'm going to flow in and out of it. And the more I turn my attention in that direction, the more it proves me right. So I hope that's helpful, Pamela. So Natalie says, my long-term partner and I split up at the beginning of this year because he lost his way. Since then, he's made every effort to make it right. I'm just afraid to go back into the relationship fully because I have heard a lot of words before from him. This time I want action. I am a codependent and he has gambling issues. Okay, well, Natalie, first of all, are you in some kind of, I don't know where you are, but are you in Al-Anon or some kind of a 12-step program for people, Codependents Anonymous, for people who are codependent? And then what kind of help has he gotten? Has he gone for treatment? If the relationship is splitting up because of the gambling, then it might not be a gambling issue. It might be a gambling addiction. You might need to say what it is. And if you get quiet and you go inside, and I were to say to you, Natalie, what's the truth? Is it an addiction based on what's happened? Is it expressing itself as an addiction? And if you don't know for sure, you need to get some information for yourself. Because if it is, it needs to be treated. And you're right to be concerned. Addicts are just suffering from a disease. I understand that. They're also charming and talented at getting their way. They know exactly what to say in order to protect their drug of choice and their ability to use. They know exactly what to do. And unless let me just say it this way, Natalie. If it were me, and I've been there, if it were me and I were in a relationship with somebody who had an addiction problem, I would be getting my own help, because I absolutely spent years being very codependent and still can be codependent in my marriage. It's just my nature. I'm not even sure I'd call it codependent anymore. It's just I lean towards overgiving, and I'm always having to pull myself back. I would be getting help for myself, and I'd need to know that this person was in recovery. Now in AA, generally speaking, they often say that an alcoholic should be in AA for a good year before they even attempt to enter into a relationship. They need to be focused on their sobriety. And so, is he getting help? And is he getting help consistently? I certainly wouldn't be living with him. I would, if you are living with it, I would keep space, keep distance, and just let him prove that he's getting the help that he deserves while you get the help that you deserve. And then take it slowly, one step at a time. Because otherwise, if you don't, if you just it's just a mess, Natalie. It's just a mess. If somebody needs to be in consistent therapy or going to consistent meetings, not once a month, and if it's a bad addiction, not once a week, like it just, he needs to make it right for himself. This is the important part. He needs to make it right for himself. You need to know that his healing and his sobriety is something that he's deeply committed to. Doesn't mean he's going to do it perfectly, but boy, he's got to be showing you that he's consistent. And you can just date while he's doing that. You don't have to get married. You don't have to live together. You can just give it time, because he needs a good year under his belt of healing before he probably will have, if he's an addict, before he will probably have the energy and the attention he needs to put into your relationship. It might not be what you want to hear, and I'm sorry, but it's the truth. It's kind of experience, truth from experience. All right, let's see. And I wish you all the best, sweetheart. As a matter of fact, I'm going to put you, where is it? My little prayer book. Remember my red prayer book? For those of you who have been with me before, I'm going to put you in the prayer book, Natalie, you and your partner. I don't need to know his or her name. I just need to put you in here. And there you are, all right? Natalie and her partner. Okay. So let's see. So Anya says, I'd like to ask if you have any advice on how to deal with ex-clients who spread negativity and falsehoods about you. I have some fear that people will buy the lies and it will hurt my business. Have you been through something like that, and how did you handle it? I actually did go through something like that very early in my career. It was just when I began doing the Oprah show. I had a colleague of mine, I guess I can't really call her a colleague. I didn't know her. I had not met her. Was an author whose work I really respected and admired and referred to a lot. I mean, shared with audiences. And I think she got her buttons pushed and started a what do you call it? Back then it was like a chat board about negative things about me that weren't true. And so I did contact her. I let her know that it was brought to my attention that what she was saying was untrue, and that I wondered why, this is happening. And I extended an olive branch, trying to just open a dialogue. And it began a dialogue that quickly turned into, if I supported her work more overtly and directly in the ways that she wanted, she was going to tone it down. And that's when I knew, you know what, I don't play that game. That's sort of called extortion on some level. And I blessed her and I let it go. We can't control what other people say. Now, if any of these clients, if you did work for these clients and there's a question about whether or not you did the right thing, you probably need to clean that up. But if that's not the case, then we can't control what other people say. I always say integrity ultimately wins. So putting your energy, now let me back up and also say that, without knowing the details, sometimes if people are publicly slandering, like in that particular case I told you about at the time, my lawyer at the time, who cares about me a lot, he's been with me my whole career, was really angry and wanted me to threaten lawsuit because it was public slander, which was unusual for him. I think because he loved me, he was mad at this person, because usually he keeps me out of lawsuits. And I decided that I wasn't going to do that, and that I was going to communicate with her. And when I did, like I said, it just didn't. It wound up, it was pretty obvious to me this person just had a chip on their shoulder and they had work to do, and it wasn't about me, and there was nothing I could do about it. She could just talk smack about me all she wanted. There was nothing I could do. But what I could do is make sure that the work that I was doing was done with integrity and done well, and take really good care of my clients, and focus my energy on that sort of, in that direction, instead of, and I know it's hard. I mean, it was a tough period for me. I was like, how do people do that? Like, just make up stuff about you. I mean, but it happens all the time. And so if there are people that you work with that you're concerned, be gracious and take the high. Do not badmouth this person. Because what I found is somebody who will somebody who will badmouth other people, like sort of make it a career of badmouthing other people, usually the other people that are involved with them see what's going on and they slowly start to back away as well. That's been my experience in both coaching clients who have had this happen to them and in my own life. So you want to stay focused on what you can control, which is your own behavior and the work that you do with your clients. All right, there we go. Let's see. Okay. So Kathy, I don't understand. You say, will I be able to save my animal sanctuary? This is very dear to me, my precious rescues and their safety. This is a time-sensitive matter, very emotional. Thank you very much. Well, go ahead, and if it's a non-profit animal sanctuary, you could always just post your website on here and invite donations. You know me, I love animals. I'm a big supporter of animals. I support a lot of organizations who support animals, and so you know, as long as it's legit and it's a nonprofit, please feel free to post the website. I don't know exactly what's going on there. Oh, Maddie, are you making a set of malas? Is that what you meant? That's cool. Let me know if you are. Barb says, Cheryl, can you write when you're in a bad mood? Yes. I know I need to get this project done, and I even like what I'm doing, but some days I just can't plant myself down to start writing any advice. Thanks. Can't wait for the new book. Thank you so much. Speaking of the new book, where is it? This is, okay, it's going to be backwards, but this is the galley, so it's the uncorrected proof, but it's kind of like, it'll give you an idea of what the cover's going to look like. Waking up in winter in search of what really matters at midlife. That's me walking in my backyard in the snow. So yes, it's so funny, Barb, that you would ask this question, because I was thinking this morning when I got up, I had a little writing project I needed to get done. I need to finish the write-up for the next Self-Care by the Sea retreat, which is happening in October, and this one's going to be focused on health. It's all about healthcare by the sea, and it's all about falling in love with our bodies and taking good care of our bodies. And I've invited Susan Dowdy, who is a women's healthcare practitioner who's awesome. She has been in practice for 30 years, and now she's left private practice to really educate women about their bodies. And she's going to join me at the retreat this time, and we're going to talk everything health for women. And so I needed to get that project done. And this morning I was thinking, Barb, one of the great things for me is a deadline. I have trained myself. Writing my weekly blog has really trained me to write against a deadline. So every week, for the most part, every week I need to put out a blog every Sunday. You know, I try to do it every Sunday night. Sometimes I rerun one because I've got 15 years worth of blogs, but so what I do, Barb, is in order to, on days like that, when I've got to meet a deadline, I do this a lot with the blog. I'll start writing about something. Now you've got a project, so you already know what you're doing, right? You said, I need to get this project done. Sometimes what I'll do is, to make it fun, I'll break it up. Instead of just sitting myself down in front of the computer, I'll do things like go out for a walk and decide that while I'm walking, I'm going to focus on I might focus on 5 examples that I want to give in a particular thing that I'm writing. Or I'm going to go out for a walk and look for a story that I can include. Like if I don't know what I'm writing about, I go out for a walk and I look for a story that I can use in what I'm writing. Or I do this all the time, Barb. I did this with Take Time for Your Life. I'll do laundry, or I'll empty the dishwasher, like I'll fold clothes, and while I'm doing that, so I take myself away from the computer, I go someplace else, like now once the deck garden's up, I might go out and water the plants and think about what I'm writing, and then go in and write down whatever occurs to me, and go back and forth that way. And it kind of makes it more fun, it breaks it up, and it doesn't feel like, I'm a kid in school with an assignment. Instead, I find that when you move the body, what happens is it's easier to come up with with ideas when the body's moving. So I hope that's helpful. It totally works for me. Let's see. Oh, Janice, nice. I'm glad you're here. I just had a tooth out and have a sore mouth, but grateful for the toothache stopping. Yeah, right. Good. So be grateful for that. Also, you can tap on that. Even though I have this toothache, I love and accept myself. Even though I have this ache in my tooth, I deeply and profoundly love and accept myself. Even though my tooth is aching and I don't like the way it feels, I choose to feel peaceful and calm. Those are some examples. So make a note. We're about, let's see, this is 12:35-ish. Janice, if you come back and look, and then you can just tap right here. This toothache that's bothering me, this toothache that I don't want to have. I choose to feel peaceful and calm even though I have this toothache. I choose to love and accept myself even though I have this toothache. I choose to love my body and to be grateful for the healing even though I have this toothache. And that will actually help calm the body's adrenaline, calm the adrenal system down. It will calm inflammation down, and it will make your teeth feel better. All right. Let's see. Okay, so Natalie, I'm a codependent enabler. I realize this. He's so good at manipulation, sometimes I don't even realize it until I sit and look over the event. Yeah, okay, so everything I said to you, Natalie, still stands. Okay, what else do we have? Okay. Well, Bettina, your whole backyard is a vegetable garden. I would love, and you eat from it all summer. Don't you just love that? It is so easy, people, to grow your own food. These beads, Jean, are they're mala beads, 108 beads, like japa mala, right? Repeating a mantra. And these are blue lapis. Aren't they pretty? Blue lapis with a little angel hanging at the end. Let's see. Okay, so I'm looking for more questions here. Oh, Bettina, you just got it. Okay. Oh, somebody's written in a different language. Okay. Oh, good. Linnell, thanks. I'm glad that was helpful. Have you insight on relationships with narcissists? Yeah, they're really, I've not been in a relationship. Well, that's not true. I was in a professional relationship with a narcissist. It was really hard. And if someone's truly a narcissist, has the mental health disorder of narcissism, they need to be getting help. And it's a tricky mental illness to deal with. And they're really, really challenging to be in a relationship with. Eventually, I had to end my professional relationship with this person because I just couldn't happen. So I think getting yourself some help, Sinead, so that you can really identify what's going on and how you might need to be supported is probably the first step. Okay. Yeah, so Marijo, I'm finding it really difficult to hold my head up today, smile, and try to move forward after reading once again about the carnage of innocent lives caused by evil monsters. Yeah. It's heartbreaking. It's just heartbreaking. And I was thinking about that this morning, about how because of media and social media and the access to so much media, we see everything that's going on in the world. And I stay pretty informed in ways that I choose. There's certain news outlets that I go to when I'm in the right place to go to them. And I just make sure that I don't get overwhelmed by it, because I want to stay focused on being a source of light and love and peace in the world. And there are times, Marijo, there are times when my heart breaks, and there are times where, quite honestly, I think it's really hard to be here on the planet. I'm sensitive, and I bet you know what I mean. And I bet there's a lot of you who know what I'm saying, that there are some times where I just think, God, this is a hard place to be. And especially over this last, 6 months or so, with all the stuff that's going on. I mean, it's been this way for a long time, but taking good care of ourselves, practicing good self-care, limiting your exposure to the media. Remember, the media is set up to get you to stay engaged. It's addictive and it's insane. And so doing what you can to really, pick and choose where you're going to get your information from and taking good care of yourself is really critical during this time. And then I always say this, never ever underestimate the power of working with energy and prayer and sending good energy and prayers and healing to the areas that are affected. I've heard many stories over the years of people who have had near-death experiences who witnessed people sending them love, streams of light, when they were on the other side, only to come back and be able to talk about that. So I do that a lot. Sometimes I'll just write it, in my prayer book, The People of Manchester. And I pray, and I pray for everyone. And Marijo, I pray for the evil people. I pray for the wounded people. I see humanity in terms of levels of consciousness. And there are different levels of consciousness. And people with a much lower level of consciousness and people who have been hurt people. And so I try to maintain the intention of love and healing for everyone, because everyone needs it, including those who do these horrible things. I can't imagine a person blowing themselves up in the middle of a group of kids, just people, whether they're kids or not, people, without having something dramatically wrong with them. And so I make a point of staying focused on the things that are good in my life that I'm grateful for. I also make a point of helping where I can, supporting people where I can, in my own backyard. And we do that in a number of ways. Whether it's helping somebody to take bags to a car, praying for somebody in our own lives individually, financially supporting somebody, employing people. Like I think about that a lot. Roberta, who is here with me, is just this gifted gardener and herbalist, and she's a single woman on her own, and I love being able to hire her to support me, because I know that I'm contributing to the cycle of life and the cycle of abundance. So where can we support people in a whole bunch of different ways, right in our own neighborhoods? That's how we contribute to the betterment of the world. And those are just some of the things that I focus on, Marijo. And you know what, I'm going to put you in my prayer book too, sweetheart, because it is hard, man. It's really, there you are. And I'm putting a little heart next to your name too. Okay. Yeah, Sinead said, you remember the quote before, every rejection is God's protection. It's a great quote. That came from somebody else. Somebody told me it. I just don't remember who it was. Okay, let's see. We've got a few more minutes for questions. Okay. So Pia says, how do I set boundaries with a negative thinking and increasingly demanding family member? I was contacted by a half-brother a few years ago that I never knew, but after a good start, things are getting complicated and uncomfortable. Complicated and uncomfortable are important words there. While I'm married and have wonderful friends, I don't have any other family, so I feel conflicted. Yeah, well, there's your problem, Mia. The problem is that, some part of you that wants to feel a connection to family needs to be honored and heard and nurtured and seen, witnessed. And then it sounds like some bigger parts of you are going, okay, hold on a second, there's some flags here. I see some yellow lights, maybe red lights. And I need to take a step back and pay attention to what's going on here, because it's getting complicated and uncomfortable. Those are signals, people. When things get complicated, I always say, when relationships start to get complicated, there's some boundaries that need to be set, generally speaking, in order for me to protect my own self-care. So, Pia, just because you share blood with somebody doesn't mean they have a right to step over your boundaries. And it may be difficult for you to set boundaries unless you see and acknowledge and honor the part of you that probably grieves not having a blood connection to family. It doesn't mean you have to stay in relationship with this half-brother. You can try. I mean, I think every relationship is worth saving as we learn to set healthy boundaries. And so being able to say to him, and I don't know what's going on, but being able to say to him, I love you, or, I enjoy having you in my life, but it needs to be in a way that's comfortable for me. And here's the things that have to happen. And if he steps over that, you can set them again. With people who break boundaries, you usually always have to set them 2 or 3 times. And by the 3rd time, if they don't get it, then it's, okay, if this continues, we're not going to be able to be in a relationship, so what do you want to do? Because I've told you what the boundaries are, and you're not honoring them, and I need you to honor them. And if he's not willing to honor those boundaries, Pia, then you're not going to be able to be in that relationship. And it will be harder for you to set that boundary unless you tend to the part of you that still grieves that lack of connection. Does that make sense? It's great that that you're married and that you've got wonderful friends. Use them for support. My husband, Michael, is just last night, I was talking with him about a difficult situation, a difficult relationship situation. And, because he's somebody who, he's really able to be more objective about relationships than I am sometimes. And he just gave me such wonderful support and feedback. I just talked it all out with him and then let him give me his perspective. And his perspective helped me to see, oh, wait a minute. No. There's a part of me that's sad about losing a particular relationship, but I can't let that sad part have me enter into a dangerous situation or an uncomfortable situation or a complicated situation. I don't know about all of you, but the older I get, the less interested I am in complication and drama. I just don't want drama in my life. My life is a drama-free zone. And if I'm in relationships with people where we can't be honest and direct with each other, where we can't just really let each other know how we feel and what's going on, then it's probably not going to happen. I'd rather have fewer people in my life than managing drama and complications. I just don't want that. Anyway, hope that's helpful, Pia. Hi, Janice. Thank you. And thank you, Toronto. Yes. Yeah, Bettina and Janice, the 2 of you should get together for lunch. And Kim, look at the 3 of you, all in Toronto. My goodness, you all should connect. So May says, what if you're married to the alcoholic? They say they've stopped drinking, don't go to regular meetings. We're living apart at this time, but I'm upset about this. Yeah, you should be. First of all, I hope you're in Al-Anon, May. Really important, and I'd be going regularly if I were you. Yes, it looks like you are. Okay, I think that was you, I'm not sure. And, if he's stopped drinking or she's stopped drinking and are thriving in life, then maybe you can tiptoe in. But if there isn't consistent help, it's a little dangerous. It just is. And here's the important thing to remember. For those of you in relationships with people who may have the illness of addiction, first of all, it's an illness, so there's no judgment here. They just need help. Remember, stay connected to the reality of what is, rather than fall in love with the dream of what could be. That's very important advice for most relationships. Don't fall in love with somebody's potential. Fall in love with the reality of who they are. Don't fall in love with the dream of what could be in the relationship. Stay connected to the truth of what's going on and deal with the relationship from there. Some of the best advice I got long ago. Let's see. Yeah, boundaries, Darlene is just saying she's loving the boundary conversation. Yeah, boundaries are always going to bring up guilt, and people, you've got to learn how to live with feeling guilty. Tap on it. Even though I feel guilty, I love and accept myself. Even though I feel guilty about setting this boundary, I choose to feel peaceful and calm. Even though it makes me feel guilty when I set boundaries with people, so I don't, I choose to start doing it now. You're going to feel guilty when you set boundaries, and the growth is about learning how to be with the guilt until it subsides. Most people give in and wind up relaxing their boundaries because they don't want to feel guilt. But you know what? You can't grow to be a mature, thriving, happy, healthy adult without also learning how to be with guilt, how to presence guilt, how to just stay present in your body even though you feel guilty. You can get support from people. I use tapping. I had a great therapist who said once to me, Cheryl, guilt, healthy guilt is there for a reason. You did something wrong, you feel guilty, you fix it. But when you feel guilty for taking care of yourself, one of the things you have to ask yourself is, have I done something wrong here? Like really, the adult part of you needs to say, have I done something wrong by telling my half-brother that it's not okay for him to show up unannounced? No, I've not done anything wrong. It's not okay for anybody to show up unannounced. Well then, that's not something you feel guilty over. And if you do, then you know it's unhealthy guilt and you need to deal with that. That's about you. That's not about your half-brother. I'm using the half-brother as an example. Same thing with Darlene with a foster daughter. I kindly let her know she's still loved, but I'm not able to let her back in. I still feel the guilt, but I know this is a loving choice. Yes, I cannot be in that codependent relationship. And here's the other thing. When we set boundaries with people who are, inappropriately needy or stepping over our boundaries or complicated and, just inappropriate in their behavior, we force them to grow up. We force them to just figure it out. Now, setting boundaries with an addict, a lot of times they'll just go find somebody else to take care of them, and you need to be prepared for that. Addicts are really skillful at getting other people to take care of them. It's just part of the disease. You just don't want to be one of those people. And you want to learn, nowadays, when I make choices that make me feel guilty, and I do it all the time, and the guilt comes up, like I just had this happen yesterday. I made a decision. I needed to cancel, I needed to delay a meeting, I'll just say. And I got a text about it that wasn't, the story I told myself was that this person was upset about me delaying the meeting. And I instantly felt guilty, and I thought, oh, wait a minute. Whoa. Did you do anything wrong? No, you delayed a meeting. People delay meetings all the time. You can do that. What's this guilt about? And I just really tuned in, and there was this young part of me that got triggered by the text that I received because there was a kind of abruptness to it that reminded me of abruptness that I experienced at other times in my life. And once I was able to just sit with it, to presence the guilt and to say, wait a minute, did I do anything wrong? No, I didn't. Okay, well then, you know what? I don't have to feel guilty. So instead, I just put my hand on my heart and I was like, sweetheart, that young part of me that is feeling guilty right now, I got you. You're okay. You didn't do anything wrong and you don't have to feel guilty. And I'm here with you. I'm going to stand by you. I've got your back. And instantly I felt completely relaxed and relieved by it all. I wasn't feeling, the guilt just went away. So that's what I mean by presencing the guilt and being there for the young parts of us that get triggered by people's behavior in present day that may remind us of family members or situations. All right, we've got to wrap it up here. Let's see. So here's an easy one. Claire, I'm very interested in becoming a coach. What are the first steps to becoming a coach? Well, Claire, I always say one of the best things to do is to get coached, to enter into a formal relationship with a coach and experience it for at least a good 3 months. And you can use that coaching relationship to explore becoming a coach. What does it mean? What does it mean to build a practice? You know, you're going to be building a business and it's going to take you a good 2 years to build a full referral generated practice if you're really good at what you do and you get good training. So getting coached is the first thing. I'd go to coachfederation.org. Coachfederation.org. I should write this stuff down because I want to put it. Hold on one second. Guilt, Mala, ICF. It's called the International Coach Federation. Trying to remember, there was some other resources I thought I was going to mention. Kathy, if you're watching, I know you'll remember what they are and you'll tell me. You always do. So go to coachfederation.org and read about coaching. That's the International Coach Federation. It's the largest independent association. Look for some of the training organizations that they certify And look for training organizations that offer free classes, that will, free teleclasses or online classes where you can just experience their kind of training. I think that would also be really great. I'd encourage you to read Take Time for Your Life. That's my first book, and I write all about that book covered the sort of basic process that I used with clients. You could even use that book with clients. And I share lots of client stories, and I talk about coaching and what it is and what it isn't. That was the first book that I published, so Take Time for Your Life. Let me just make a note of that too. Take time, and I mentioned grace. So yeah, those are some ways to get started, Claire, and I think you'll start to have a really good idea of what you need to do in order to pursue coaching, which... Yeah, Mare says, Cheryl, when driven by fear around finances, can you suggest a person to help organize financial goals? There's a woman by the name of Melissa Sweet. Her website is Melissa Sweet Money, melissasweetmoney.com. She's a fee-based financial planner. So what she does is she works with people over the phone, via Skype, and in person. She's here in Massachusetts. She's somebody I refer people to a lot. And she'll meet with people and she'll look at all of their debt, all of their income, all of their assets, and help you to put together a financial plan for you. I use her myself personally. I love her. And she follows Esther Hicks Abraham. She really understands the law of attraction as well. So she brings this great, sound, smart financial advice and marries it with the whole metaphysical, how our thinking and our feelings, when I met with her, she said to me, honey, you're doing really well financially, except you've got a lot of fear around security and money. And I knew that it came from growing up in a large family where, my dad was working 3 jobs and there was a lot of anxiety around money off and on growing up. And so, she said to me, the inner work I needed to do inner work related to my finances instead of the outer work. And so I love that she has both of those perspectives. So I'll include Melissa Sweet Money, I'll include her, and also Pamela. I will include Healthcare by the Sea. I'm going to call it, I think, Healthcare by the Sea. The retreat information is going to be happening in October. It's the weekend of the 21st or 22nd. And it's going to be ready for registration pretty soon. So you can find it on CherylRichardson.com, as you can also, you can subscribe to the weekly newsletter that will let you know when I'm doing these Facebook posts, when I'll be holding the Facebook Live coaching sessions. Hey, Jessica, I see you're here. Jessica Ortner, hi, sweetheart. We were talking about tapping a little earlier, so... Jessica Ortner, Nick Ortner's sister, has a wonderful, wonderful tapping program on weight loss. I've mentioned it here before on Facebook Live. I'm in a beautiful book that she wrote on tapping for weight loss as well. And God, Jessica, I'm spacing on the title. Will you do me a favor? And if you're still here, will you just do me a favor and put your book title? I can't believe I'm spacing on it. It's because I'm focused on this. So anyway, yes, Jessica has a great tapping for weight loss and body confidence is what I want to say, because I love that she uses the phrase body confidence. Anyway, okay, it's 1 o'clock. We're going to wrap it up. Thank you all for being here. I really, as always, appreciate you joining me. And once again, just, join me in... just sending lots of healing energy and love to the people of Manchester and to everybody involved in that event. I always like to say, if we died and went to the other side and could look back and see streams of light coming from us to everywhere we send love and healing energy, if we could see it, if we knew that it actually was doing something, wouldn't we be doing it all the time? Well, if I'm going to be a betting gal in a healthy kind of way, then I'm going to bet that that's true. And so the next time you find yourself feeling really deeply affected by what's going on in the world, just imagine streams of light going right to where you want them to go. I send it to Syria all the time, the refugees, to animals, to, I mean, I just send white light because I know in my heart, I just know in my heart, when I leave this planet and I get to the other side, I'm going to look back and see that all of that really, really matters. I know it's true. All right. I love you all very much, and I so appreciate you being here, and I'll look forward to connecting with you next week. Watch out for this week. I'm going to do a Facebook Live on The Magic Mala, Bob Olson's book, The Magic Mala. I'll have a copy of it with me, and I may even read a little bit out of it. Who knows? We'll see. All right. Have a great day, everybody. Take good care. Bye.